back to the channel. Thanks so much for being here. So today we're going to do a quick and easy video. It's going to be a high protein, heart healthy meal. It's going to be chickpea stew that's really delicious and really nutritious. So it's going to be oil free, so you're going to save on calories. So the only tips that I have are try to find an oil free tomato sauce or just crushed tomatoes if you can't find that. And then also you're going to water saute instead of adding oil, and then you're going to save at least 500 calories right there. So that is how we are going to keep it lower in calorie density because it's a higher protein meal. We're going to have a lot of fiber in this meal, which is really good. So I'm still having a very starch solution type of diet and lifestyle. So I'm having like my starch and then I'm having my non-starchy veggies. But sometimes I don't have non-starchy veggies. I'm not going to go crazy about it. I just have whatever veggies because that's just life, right? Like you're just going to be able to have, you know, what you have available, what's easy, and not have to go crazy about going out and buying a bunch of things because you don't have the certain vegetable that you're looking for. So I'm over that. I'm just about simplicity. So I'm going to use whatever I have. So sometimes I will have a starchy veggie with my starch, and that's technically not allowed on starch solution or discouraged, but also Mary McDougall is very laid back and says do whatever you can and do better on your next meal. So with that in mind, I have my starch and my veggies, whatever veggies that I happen to have. So now I'm starting to incorporate a little bit more, sorry, my hair is like staticky, a little bit more of my protein just to top myself up because of my age. I need to be weary of not having enough protein because it's detrimental for my bones and my muscles. And I know from the past when I went from, you know, a higher body fat to a super low body fat, I was 17% body fat in a very short period of time. And I know that I caused some detrimental effects. So I need to be mindful of that and be able to maintain a healthy weight in a healthy way without the detriment to my muscles and my bones. So if you are not into high protein meals, I get it. It's fine. I understand. But it's always good to top yourself up, and it's good to have in the freezer, and it's so cheap. So it's also super cheap because chickpeas are cheap and tomato sauce is cheap. You can whip up this meal in no time at all and have a very large volume of food. So that way you can serve a lot of people, or you can just keep it in the freezer and then you always have something on hand and you never have to worry about not having something and being tempted to go and eat something that you should not eat. So with that in mind, I'm going to show you guys how to make this meal in 30 minutes or less, and it's super easy, very nutritious, and it will pretty much please everybody. Now you can have this with potatoes on the side, you can have it with rice on the side, you can eat it on its own, you can dip a really good quality bread into it, and it's so delicious. You decide how you want to eat it. Big potato, oh my gosh, amazing. And then you put that on top, so good. So these are just some suggestions of how you can serve it. But again, you eat it the way you want to. It is so easy to make. And if you don't like chickpeas, then just have pinto beans or something. Just use pinto beans to replace the chickpeas. It's still going to be really nutritious. It's still going to be high protein and high fiber. And you're going to have a different bean that you actually enjoy. So let's get into it and let me show you how quick and easy it is. Okay, so I have 2 cans of chickpeas. These are 19-ounce cans, 2 cloves of garlic, and those are peeled. I just have to chop them. And then I also have 680 milliliters of tomato sauce, but I'm gonna put in half. It should be fine to put half of it and then just save the other half. But I'm gonna see how much I really need. If I need the whole can, I'll let you guys know, but I'm planning on just putting half. Okay, so I have my 2 cloves of garlic, and they're pretty large cloves of garlic. You can add more or less depending on what you prefer. I just have it minced, and I'm going to let it sit for like 5 minutes just so I can get all the benefits of the garlic. And by allowing it to sit, you can do that instead of just using it right away. So I'm going to water saute in my Dutch oven. So I'm going to add a little bit of water, and then I'm also going to heat it up. So I just have the garlic in there with a couple tablespoons of water, and I'm going to saute that, and then I'm going to add in all of the seasonings. So as far as the seasonings go, I am adding in some curry powder, onion powder, and then I also have some dry oregano and some crushed red pepper and some cumin. I'll also be adding salt and pepper. So I have sea salt and just organic cracked pepper. One of the spices that we, sorry guys, there goes my phone again. One of the spices that we grow in the garden is saffron. So this is Portuguese saffron. That's where the flowers came from. I'm just going to put a little pinch of this saffron in, but that's totally optional because it's going to go from a low cost meal to quite expensive. It's cheap for us because we grow it and we have an abundance, and I just put it into any jar I find. But yeah, it's up to you if you want to use it. So if I had some fresh onion, I'd put a quarter of an onion chopped up, and I would add that really finely minced as well, because that would add a lot of extra flavor, but I don't have any. So I'm going to be using onion powder instead. I added all of the spices in, and I was very generous with each spice. So I put in quite a bit, at least a teaspoon, I would say, of each thing. The cumin, maybe half of a teaspoon, and a teaspoon of the curry powder, and a teaspoon of dry oregano, and a very large sprinkle of the chili flakes, because I do want a little bit of a kick. I might have put too much, so let's see. And then I also put onion powder as well, a teaspoon of that. And I'm just sauteing it with water, and then the chickpeas are going to go in. Okay, so I'm going to put half of that tomato sauce in. Just want to make sure it's half. Just going to open it a little more. Okay, that looks good. And then I am going to add in those chickpeas. Then I'm going to cover it, and remember it's in a Dutch oven, so it's going to cook really quickly. I'm going to cover it up for like 10 minutes on a medium to high heat and allow those chickpeas to soften. And in the meanwhile, I am going to also puree some chickpeas, because that's going to be the creamy portion of this sauce, and add that in as well. Okay, so I have the other can of chickpeas in here, and I also kept half of the water that it was in, and the other half I drained, and I'm just going to blend this up because I need a little bit of liquid in here just to get this going, and that's going to be the creamy portion of our sauce. Okay, so I'm going to take the lid off. Sorry guys, my phone keeps going off. I don't know why I'm so popular right now. Okay. So that's been cooking for 10 minutes, and now we are going to put the mixture in that we made with the chickpeas. I don't know if it's going to pour in because it's quite thick, but let's see. Okay, there we go. And then I'm just going to scrape the rest out and mix that through. Okay, so I'm going to mix that through, and then it's going to be nice and creamy. It's going to add that level of creaminess to the dish, and that way it's not going to be super tomatoey. If you want more tomato, you can always add it in. And you know what? I'm going to taste it just to see, because if I feel like I need it, then I'll add a little bit more. But it's always better to add less and go from there. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water, around 4 ounces or so. And if I need more after, then I'll add more. Yep, that's it. I'm also going to add 1 teaspoon of my Better Than bouillon, just to add a little extra flavor. And then I'm going to taste the sauce just to see if I need to re-season anything. If I feel like it needs more seasoning, then I'm going to go ahead right now and add it in. So I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of red lentils to my mixture. I'm just going to rinse 3/4 of a cup really, really well. And then we're going to go ahead and add it in. Okay, so I did re-season again. I added more dry oregano, more curry powder, and more onion powder. And then I'm going to add in my lentils now. I rinsed them really, really well. You have to rinse them really well because they are usually pretty darn dirty. So 3/4 of a cup, mix them in. I did add the rest of that tomato sauce can. I'll have the full recipe for you written out so that you don't miss any ingredients. Okay, so that's that. We're just gonna let this cook up for another 10 to 15 minutes on a low to medium heat. Just let it cook, let the lentils do its thing. And you're just gonna check on it to see if it needs any more water. You can go ahead and add just some filtered water as needed, just so your lentils don't stick. You know, you're gonna mix it every so often, just to make sure that they don't stick to the bottom of your pot. I have a Dutch oven, so sometimes that will happen. But if you have a regular pot, you may not have that problem. And then, yeah, that is it. I have shown you guys before, but this is the Better Than Bouillon. This is the one that I use because it's oil-free and it has tons and tons of flavor. So I'm just going to add a little bit of this, just 1 teaspoon, and that's all it takes. Okay, so I added another 4 ounces of water, and I gave it a nice mix. You're going to want to mix it halfway through as well, or else those lentils are going to sink to the bottom and they're going to get really hard and stuck to the bottom. So they are cooking up really nicely, but they're not quite there. Okay, so let me just get my spoon. Let's see how this is looking. Okay, so you're going to add 10 to 11 ounces of filtered water just so that your lentils can cook nicely in here. It's getting nice and thick. The lentils will thicken it up even more as they finish cooking up. So I'm just going to give that a nice good mix so they don't stick to the bottom. As this sits and it becomes leftovers, it's also going to thicken a little more. So don't get freaked out about it being too watery, because trust me, it's not going to stay watery. It will get thick because those lentils. So yeah, I mean, you be the judge of how much water you want to put. If you want to just put 8 or 9 ounces and you think that that's sufficient and they're not, you know, the lentils are not sticking to your pot, then that's fine. You can always add more water later as a leftover if it gets too thick. I prefer to add a little more because I like it a little more runny. And if you have like a crusty bread, you can dip that in. You can add, you know, rice into a bowl and then pour this on top. This would be really nice. So it's up to you how you want to eat it. But it's a really high protein and high fiber meal that's going to keep you full for a long time. It's really good for leftovers, and you can definitely freeze it. So don't forget, it's a great meal to have in the freezer, ready to go. Just thaw it out, have rice on the side, and there you go. You have your meal set. You just have to worry about your veggies. So you have to decide on what veggies you're going to have on the side, like, you know, steamed broccoli or something. That would be so good with this. And that is it. Super, super simple. Okay, so you guys see this all the time. So I have a mixed veggie Costco blend that is really handy to have in the freezer. It's organic. Okay, so that has been cooking up for I think enough time now. Now we're just going to add in those veggies. Like, it's not even that high, but yet it's super, super boiling. Crazy, right? It's like a low to medium heat, like mostly low, honestly. This Dutch oven just, it's crazy. It gets super, super hot. So all those veg are in, 2.5 cups or so. If you want to go with more veg, go ahead. But I'm just going to add this because it's just going to add some extra flavor, some more color to it as well. I don't want to overdo it. And then you can go ahead and add in other veggies as well, because we're trying to eat the rainbow here. But yeah, super easy, super healthy. It is not going to take a huge amount of time, and then you can have a lot left over unless you have like a huge family. And again, you can freeze this, which is going to be super handy, especially if you are one of those people that are tempted to stop at fast food. You're easily tempted to eat, you know, oily things, and you're trying to be oil free to save on calories. This is going to help you because you know that it's going to be in the freezer ready for you, waiting, and it's going to fill you up and you're going to feel really good. So when you know you have things like this, you're not tempted to go and eat somewhere else because you know that you have something hearty and filling and it's going to satisfy you. And you know what? You can have it with bread. Just make sure it's a healthier bread. You can have it with rice. Have brown rice with it. Sorry, my timer. You can have it with brown rice. Brown rice is really healthy. And, you know, you can just try different grains even, just to jazz up your life, you know, add some variety to your meals. So, if you wanted to, you could also do baked potatoes and then pour this on top, which would be really nice. If you are more of a potato person versus a rice person, again, it's completely up to you. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn off the heat because I have a Dutch oven. It doesn't require any more heat. This thing is like pumping with heat right now. And I'm going to put the lid on, take it off the heat, and just let the veggies cook up. And that's all that they need. They don't need any more time. This is going to be perfect. They're going to add a lot of flavor. It's going to be really nice, very colorful. Yeah, I mean, that is it. It's like a one-pot meal. You throw everything in here. You have just a hearty, hearty meal that is going to satisfy pretty much anybody unless you really hate chickpeas. Can you use something else? Yeah, definitely. You can use another bean, but I just happen to like the chickpeas. But you can customize it depending on what you prefer, what your family likes. But that's just going to continue cooking on the side with the lid on. Let the veggies just soften. And that is it.